Oh, okay. Um, Once again, my name is Jamal Anur. I am from Northern Darfur State, small locality called Kakabia. I grew up most of the time in the Northern Darfur State, and I moved to K City where I met you over there. I went to the school to K City, and then after that, I moved to different country. But then a couple of years ago, then I landed into Germany. I finished my degree in Germany, and right now I am doing some studies in Romania. So yes, like a short introduction. It will be yeah, not that long CV, so just the outline.
Yes, that's very fantastic. Yeah, thank you very much, Mister, for that. Now, as you can see, our topic today is about public one of the public health, which is mental health and community. Um,
Before we go further, I have one question. It is mental health and community in Sudan specifically, or in general you want that?
Well, actually, we are talking in general, public health and
Okay,
community, any community in the world. But because these days we are facing some, issues. We have a very big, not some issue, actually, a very big problem in Sudan. So most of the people right now having a lot of problems and everything regarding our community. Also, we want to not only people supporting other part of health, but also mental health is it very important right now at this time of war? But we speak actually generally and openly, not
okay,
specifically to the news community.
okay, good.
Yes. So
Good.
maybe you would want to start us with a definition of what is mental health and what does it do and why and how mental health, something like that, and link mental health to community.
Okay. Thank you once again. I am really very grateful to join this show, and it is such a privilege to be with you here and talk about one of the most important topic right now. So it's actually one of the most important topic I think to discuss in today's world. Let me go through the by the introductions. You know, the impairments of individuals. This is the mental health, the impairment of individuals that mental health reduce their life opportunities. Poor mental health may lead to one set of the mental illnesses, severe mental illnesses that a social and economic effect on the community. Some mental illness is preventable with early, like let me say, investigations and skills that mental health and the mental health care should be focused on it. It is actually internal and external well-being with the clear connections to the health, social and economic effect on individuals' life. It is more than just the absence of the mental disorders. It is actually the ability to understand life and search for fulfill of the potential. I also, in the other hand, the mental health it's not only the absence of, let me say, uh, of clear thinking. It is also um, one of the essential part of overall physical health and well-being of any individuals. In this term, let me say that it is very misunderstood that many people think that the mental health or in these terms it is only kind of illness, but in fact mental health it's defined as a state of well-being in which every individual realizes that his own potentials and capability with the normal stress of life it can work and provide many kind of of symptoms, let me say. And truthfully, it is also able to make a contributions to somebody's life or in the community. You know, this is according to the World Health Organizations. But according to my understanding, as the definitions of the mental health, it's the various and depends on which theory someone want to go through. However, in general, the mental health, it is quite similar to the physical health, such as that individual is good in good conditions regarding to their mindset. From persons to another persons, it's quite different, let me say. Also, mental health could be defined as individual well-being able to realize that their own ability and capability that to copy with the normal and go with the normal stress in life, work productivity, and also being able to make a contributions in a community. Because this is one of the job, that of the counselor, that to help their client, for instance, be more self-aware and consider that the future and the possibility of life change. An individual with a very good mental health, they within the therapy, can become more aware of their ability and also will be able to motivate and make a change in their life. And it is also the job of the counselor, for instance, to help them, to help these people with mental disorders, to go through the right path. In the more modern, cases, we could say that the mental health, it is one of the essentials elements in mankind. Without the mental health, we cannot be able to contribute into the society and then make a difference within ourselves in other and the people around us. You know, good mental health also um, can help us being able to copy, the strategy and go being able to go with the let me say with the normal stress in life in the critical situation in a society, such as the significant which every individuals in this planet needed to be in the clear state of mind. By defining this individual are not being able to copy with their stress of life, it is also important for a client, such as the people who they having such as these traumas, having more positive outlook, let me say, of life, you know, and also replacing any kind of negativity and negative thought with a feeling that they are be able to associate and seeking help wherever it is necessary, let me say. Also, the mental health um, are different forms according to um, different perspective, and let me say, and according to clinical perspective, and also according to the many different series. And it is very important to recognize from the beginning, before it develop and become different kind of disorders. It is not only that the burdens of the individuals that in let me say, on those who are surrounded themselves, and also the burden of the, let me say, tax player. For instance, in England, the cost of the health problems, it is estimated like let me say, 150 billion per players, and this is roughly equal to the spirit of cost in the many different areas, and support treatments. People with let me say mental health problems, and loses of their economic status from not being able to do their proper job within the large amount of the money being spending money within, like, let me say, providing meditations, for the patients, and medications such as the antidepressant, let me say, depressant, drugs, reducing their effect and their symptoms of the healthcare problems. However, it does not, like, cure the mental health problem itself. And we these drugs also cannot cure the mental health problems, but it helps the individual to reach the higher levels of potential and being able to contribute in the society. It can also reduce such as the burdens in the economic, let me say, as individual may be able to get back to the work. But this is really one of the greatest outcome that we could go through.
Okay.
Yes, I can give the flow to Mr. Shakur, and then yes, we can go through the most important, um,
Okay. That is
yes,
that's very
questions.
That's very, thank you for this very fantastic introduction about the mental health. I also want to recognize presence of a very important and very professional people who actually are actually related to the health profession, like Mr. Muhammad Ahmad. He is already here, one of the professional international public health officers. He may also be participating as well in the discussion. Also, I want to recognize the presence of Mr. Hilal Ahmad, or Mahmoud Hilal. So one of the very important as well participants. Now, we are waiting for Mr. Dr. Yusuf. He just called me that he is busy with a patient, but he will join us soon. Maybe we will continue. Thank you for that introduction. And for the English speakers, participants who have just joined us, the English Club members, we want to thank you very much for participating. And we are going to actually allow the speakers to talk. And after that, maybe you can comment and ask and interact. So you don't need to only listen, but you can actually be part of the discussion. So you have to ask questions, you have to comment, you have to give your consent, and if you disagree with the speaker's point, I know the doctors here, Mr. Jamal and Mr. Yusuf, they are professionals, but most of you here are professionals as well, and maybe some of you are also professional in public health or in mental health or in health sector in general. You can come in and actually join. Before I welcome Mr. Jamal again, when we link the mental health to our community, there are some points that over my searching through the internet and through public health and general health facilities, and I'm also interacting with a lot of health professionals who are around me. I talk to them about mental health and community, and they have spoken about some points that until now normal people or ordinary people like myself might not know what mental health is, and is it different from physical health? Is it different from other type of health issue that we talk about? So they were telling me that the impact of social media and technology on mental health, these are very important points that could be discussed. The role of genetic in mental health. Are there some genetic roles or roles that will be genetically played in terms of mental health? Does it have something to do the use of technology in mental health treatment? Nowadays, people use technology to treat themselves, especially mental health, like music and meditation. And some ways, maybe now people are using very advanced way of treating themselves, maybe injecting some cells or injecting some cards, electronic cards or anything, please. So this
Actually,
yeah, yeah.
actually, when we come to the genetic plays and the significant role of the mental health, it's actually influenced the various of the mental illnesses and conditions. And I,
Sorry.
I hear some background. So
Yeah, yeah. I am muting
uh,
everyone. Go ahead.
okay. Anyway, there is heritability, the inheritance. Like, let me say heritability first of all. This may there is that many mental health disorders have heredity components, meaning that tending from the family. For example, schizophrenia, bipolar discoverer, and this kind of disorders, and the major depressive disorders and anxiety disorders are all known as genetic components. Heritability, it's estimated and one of the various across different disorders, but also they are genetic, indicate that extend to the genetic factors and contribute into development of disorder within the populations. Also, there is the let me say gene environment interactions, which is mean this genetic play crucial role, and it is essential to recognize that the mental health outcome are also influenced by environment factors. And there is also let me say often um, there is interplay between genetic and also predispositions of the environmental influences, such as the certain influential, let me say, environmental factors such as trauma, stress, and substance abuse that can also play huge role in vulnerability that increase the risk of development of mental health. In terms of the specific genetic variations, also we could say there is the advance in genetic research having identified specific like genetic barriers associated with the within the increase of the risk of the certain mental health disorders. From these factors, we could say there are genes that has been implicated, like schizophrenia and bipolar disorders, which these variations has a lot to do with, let me say, with transport of gene that have been linked with the depressions and anxiety disorders. Um, Also, we have the, let me say, um, uh, epidemic, such kind of the mechanism that regulate gene expressions, without altering the underlining the DNA sequence, which is kind of mechanism that influenced by environmental factors and has an impact in the mental health outcomes. Also, there is a lot of research that has been done in the area that shows that the experience and the environmental, uh, let me say, stressor can modify genes and their expressions in the pattern of, let me say, related to the mental health. Understanding the role of genetic and the mental health, it's very essential because from this point of view, we can be able to improve our understanding from the genetic influences and how we can be able to put some diagnostic outline and preventions such as a treatment the strategies how we can handle kind of these factors. And also, it is an important to go through these factors and develop the management of mental health. You know, strategies how we can deal with the this kind of disorders. Um, in addition to, there is also many family studies, that has been done within the I do remember this is the twin studies. Its name is the twin study. The family of twins that study has been provides the genetic basis in the mental health disorders, and this kind of studies, in particular, compare the let me say the mental health disorders and the identical monozygote. This is kind of, I don't know, monozygote is like the identical twin. So to be more specifics, and also they estimated this
Please,
kind of
Mr.
gene.
Sorry, Mr. Jamal.
Yeah,
You also need to explain some terms when you have
yeah.
a strange term. You know, most of us here are linguists and English speakers. So what you need
Ah,
to
okay.
always give is to explain what are the some of the terms that you use.
I said like there is a study. Is this kind of a study is called twin study, and twin study in this term as a terminology is called monozygote. Monozygotic. This is kind of the of twins. They have um, identical twins. For instance, let me say, you understand the identical twin. They have the some genetic materials. They have some kind of like a similar fingerprint, which is you see, maybe I don't know if I know some persons or they have both um, like monozygotic twins. I don't know anyway, but these are the genetic twins. It's called the um, twin studies. And overall, we also have to understand that the genetic plays a complex, very complex roles in the mental health, influencing the disorders through the combination of heredity. These genes can affect through the environments and structure. And also, understanding this kind of factors, it is crucial in advancing our knowledge in the mental health illnesses. This can help us to be able to develop more effective preventions and treatment strategy in order to go through this kind of mental health disorders. Also, there is many different factors that concerning the genetics disorders, which has a lot to do with mental health disorders. Yes.
That's a very wonderful. Before we move to the next to the some questions, I want to give the floor to people if they want to comment or ask within this point that Mr. Speaker has he talked about. So please, if you wanted to actually come in and say something about his introduction and answering to the questions I have posed, you are very welcome before I allow him to come again. Yes, please, English speakers. Don't feel that the topic is too big. It's very nice. Maybe most of you will learn from what these doctors are talking. So this day, I actually meant to bring you very professional doctors who can actually speak openly and widely about health, especially mental health. So if you wanted to say anything, before we move to next questions, please welcome Mr. Isam Adam.
Hello, good evening. I hope everybody's well. Can you hear me well?
Yes.
Thank you very much for having me, and also thank you very much for the panelist, Dr. Jamal. I think it is the quite sophisticated, advanced information that we gain, and it is very important to talk about this kind of psychological disorders. However, I can see it's somehow going to be better if we talk about the sudden trauma that happens, which is most popularly nowadays if we talk about Sudan, especially because without including any genetics or biological biological heredity, we can see that the people have been affected with this war. People every day and night they experience this kind of bombing and this kind of things. So this is what is most popularly. So I think if he can add some information on that, it would be really nice. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you very much, Mr. Isam. This is a very wonderful interaction. All right. I hope Mr. Jamal is noting everybody interacting. Yes, someone else, please. Do you want to note anything out so that the panelists can talk about? If nobody has anything, please continue, Mr. Jimmy.
Thank you very much once again. Um, I think it's also will be very understandable when we talk about the mental health and the mental health disorder, especially in Sudan, because right now we are facing one of the major problems in Sudan regarding the incidents that are happening right now. But let me go back to the background of the mental health in Sudan. You know, Sudan has been going through several unfortunate, events like civil war, poverty that lead and let people losing their families, their sons and their daughters, based on the this experience and evidence that we already witnesses. Let me say, such as the refugees and the people in IDPs. These people are facing the major problems, which the mental health and the mental disorder has been already forgotten, and nobody talking about it because in Sudan right now the mental health is unspoken topic such as a taboo, which is one of the um, greatest topic to talk about it. But if you just talk about the mental health in Sudan, which is has a more beautiful characterized word, al junoon. So people are afraid to talk about it because they feel they're isolated from the community, because they think if they are diagnosed with the mental health or any kind of disorders, they might be also isolated from community. They cannot be able to participate also in community as well as they can. Um, the concept of mental health is still in Sudanese community very rare because it is unspoken. Physical illness is also one of the not tolerable topic in order to be spoken as much as possible, and also understanding that this kind of illness is lead to the more crisis than ever before. It's one of the things that people should understand. When we come to the mental illness, it is not something visible, and it is beyond their understanding of how the a person could be able to maintain, mentally, to be in a state that to declare I am health. I don't have any kind of mental disorder, like let me say mental disorders. But unfortunately, people still can't be able to declare the mental health disorders and this kind of illnesses carry a lot of stigmas, and discriminations. Lately, we have seen it, maybe in the social media, maybe somewhere else in the level of the um, academic institutions. It's very realizable, but people ignore it intentionally. And lately, this has become one of the significant factor that, uh, this like a war zone, and this kind of mental health of the patients, it becomes more like unseenable. Let me say invisible to the societies. And also in terms of discriminations, most of the people has been excluded due to their also let me say due to their skin colors, due to their Africanism descendants, due to let me say, as people used to say, like slave backgrounds. I don't believe in that, but people used to mention it's leading to the more severe illnesses. Even people right now, because some because of some agendas, people just traumatize and become more worse, and also um, some issues such as the poverty and less educations and the poor health services result into the low probability of the individual to receive, the proper treatments. Actually, if we come to the mental health illnesses right now in Sudan, I think it's um, like there is no budget for it, and there is also very few physicians and let me say psychologists, and also psychiatrists, and also working in this field, because people see not as a disease, but see like something else. From If we go to the let me say, I've read a statement a few years ago that the number of the physicians um, and social workers who working in this area, and the nurses, like not exceeding 300. So which is mean this number, it's very very few, if we compare only the capital like Khartoum city before the war, right now. And this kind of diseases are very severe, and it has a lot of the consequences which we can not see right now, but in the coming years we might see very clearly. So when we come to the war, resulting one of the most major mental health diseases and disorders more than ever. Right now, you see, there is people who they witness the genocide, people who they uh, have seen and witnessed that their parents has been killed in front of in front of them. So this kind of disorders, it developed by the times. So when we don't have any kind of treatments, if we don't have any kind of services that take care of this kind of disorders, so we are losing very very young peoples, and also the elderly peoples. But the question is, what is the importance of addressing the mental health in our community? Because we might trying to talk about this topic, but only we are not digging deep in order to understand the importance of addressing this topic.
Oh,
So within the increase in the globalizations, there is, increase of flow of informations about, the mental health, and also the increase of awareness. It is huge treatments, and we also have the huge gap between developments, in our countries. For instance, in Sudan, the awareness, may provoke, let me say, relative adaptations, and also feeling that the poor countries are being able, um, to define, the mental health, and also being able to, some people deny such as this act, and also being deny its, like, the benefit. It is, I'm saying it is like the benefit that available into rich, countries. So in Africa, we deny the mental health disorders. In the advanced countries, they evaluate it, they put it in the top priorities, trying to find the best solutions they have in order to let people, you know, uh, have a role in the community. So in Africa, for instance, in Sudan, if somebody is, just come across this illness or disorders, the family, they are just let for the sake of faith. They don't care. So they say, like, these persons have done something wrong, and this is the punishment from the God. You have to accept it. And this is the reality what we are seeing right now. I know there is, from the audience, maybe many of you have people in your families with, uh, this kind of disorders. You are going to rob them homes. You're going to let them stay homes. You're trying to find someone, I don't know, Al Faki, in order to do some, magic, I don't know, in order to treat them instead of taking them into the clinic. This is kind of, of treatment that you offer. But in advanced country, they are doing something else. This can
okay.
lead to the increase of to the burdens of the mental, illnesses. And also, you know, uh, people from, this background are also more likely to experience the, exposure of the wide range of, let me say, of mental health diseases, including the war, uh, ethnic cleansing, and natural disasters. For instance, let's go back again in Sudan. Being in war and in the war zones, there are also increase of risk of mental health disorders, especially, the populations, they are living in the marginalized rural areas, and also they need to advocate, for those who they are in need of.
Good.
Coming
Yes.
from the income, country, Sudan, the mental health is also often more neglected. I am trying to repeat it because this is very important than in the rich, developed country. So the importance to recognize why the mental health need to be, addressed in our community. People from other backgrounds, let me say, also try to do their best in order to define the best methods in order um, to heal the people with this kind of disorders. And also, the greater risk for the more, let me say, the developing countries such as Sudan, it's very high. Meaning that it is very important for the peoples who are living in Sudan, who are more, diagnosed just locally with the mental health, ill- illnesses. It's like it is their chance right now, since this topic has been one of the dangerous diseases more than the war itself, in order to put the kind of method to treat it.
Okay.
And Okay,
Mr.
go ahead.
Mr. Jimmy, this is very wonderful. We want to go one by one. Mr. Yusuf, Dr. Yusuf is already here. Can I welcome him and come back to you, Mr. Jimmy?
Of course.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Jimmy, for this very wide and very wonderful explanation about mental health. You have given us a very wonderful definition, examples, practicalities, and everything.